So I'm just looking at some of the work that's being done at the moment. I think you can see that there are straps almost everywhere. There's a huge amount of strapping going on here to hold everything rigid, and all of this timber, the 6x2 timber, is just sat in here to stop any form of movement once that roof structure starts to come off. You don't get two chances at this. If it starts to move, it's going to go. So with a lot of straps, a lot of strength being built in, there's steel brackets being put on at the moment. I'll find the brackets in a minute. And of course this whole scaffold, which bits and pieces of it are tied back to, so the scaffold's providing support, the straps are providing support, and the timber itself, the 6x2. Just to give you an idea of some of the work that Jake's been doing, here is one of the old chamber beams. You can see the big chamber beam running right through, and if you have a look at the joint on the end of that, and this is a joint that was buried within one of the chimneys, so this was a complete mess in here, you couldn't even see it. Very innovative way of jointing that chamber beam into the vertical post to stop it with this little notch so that it couldn't come out. The only problem is that because of this shape, the tenon on the end of it was quite narrow, quite a small tenon, and with all the weathering and rot that was here, it really wasn't very strong. And then lads have actually replaced another post here. There's a big repair on this post. You can see it's been faced, and then it comes down, becomes a solid post, and where the chamber beam fits in, there is another of those joints being made, another repair of a similar nature. So they're replicating just about everything that the old boys did. This post, the idea of putting the new post in is to tie the gable frame, and you can see that frame coming down. It's a replacement frame, it's new timber which was very badly built, but we're going to try and keep that as intact as we can. So a new rail coming across here which ties this post to the gable frame, so that ties, and then again they picked up the older timber, repaired it there, and then that has been taken across onto the next post. There's a big scarf joint in here, beautifully done, and you'll also notice that that new timber runs along, ties everything together, but very cleverly on the outside of the timber is a faceplate, and we've retained the original timber on the outside, and it's just a faceplate, but at least it's keeping true with the original building, so we're preserving as much of the timber as can be. And then this tie beam comes along into the next post. You can see a construction notch in the post here. This is where when it was the thing was erected in the first place, there would have been a brace coming in here into that post holding it up. That rail then comes right the way along here, and it joins into an enormous new post, again with a lot of repairs to it, but that post now comes down and it's going to have a big chunk of stone underneath, so this will sit on a lump of stone, and this post itself picks up the next chamber beam, and indeed that is jointed and tenoned in onto the post. So massive chamber beam there. And you can see more of the bracing. In fact, we got actually solid bracing here. Absolute forest of timber and braces to stop the movement. And we'll obviously be on site here tomorrow and you'll be able to see the purlins coming off, and there's going to be some very, very close eyes kept on the bracing and the timbering here to make sure that there's no movement and nothing starts to open up. So this is about 12 months worth of framing repairs. You begin to get a little bit of a feel for just how much repair work has gone on so far. We've even got some moulded sections there where the windows were, and then the big joints, taking the new post which had rotted out. This is the post for the rotted with the water coming in through the valley, and then that joint back onto the original chamber beam that comes across here. And then there's a lot of strengthening work going on here. This is the room directly underneath that diagonal beam that we were showing you earlier. And there is actually a huge post behind that which carries the roof. Right, so we shall stop there.